This week in games, it is showcase season. Let's talk about everything that happened at Summer Game Fest, Xbox Showcase, and the Ubisoft Forward. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 203. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hello, friends, watchers, enemies.
Oh, the enemies.
Yay.
Gotta keep them close.
We've already seen some of the enemies, insult us in the comments section.
Oh, yes.
So they're
there. You're not wrong. Mm-hmm. You're not wrong. You know what? I went back to that, the Fallout show TikTok that we put out and stuff. I remember that TikTok doing very well. It didn't.
It didn't?
It may have done well on YouTube. That's what I think it was. I think it did well on YouTube. Is what happened to that one. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun to go back and watch that and see you get a little toasted. Just a little toasted.
It happens.
Hey, it was right before I got fucking annihilated by you Elden Ring losers. You know what I'm saying?
Elden Ring winners. We won Game of the Year.
It did win Game of the Year, as it probably should have, right?
God of War.
God of War.
Well, I would say.
I mean, like, even at the time, I argued that Elden Ring deserved it over God of War Ragnarok.
Because it was the time. It was
the time.
What was the biggest?
I mean, I would still say it deserved it over.
There's a gnat, and it keeps flying on your stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Fine. It's a gnat. What's it going to do?
Angers me.
Oh. Connor, how's your week been, friend?
Been good. Yeah, not too busy, not too easy. Just that nice middle of the road.
Yeah.
Haven't played as many games.
Yeah, me too. Mine's been pretty busy, mostly just because we're dealing with this puppy that we talked about last week. I got this puppy. She's a handful, but we're working with it. She's getting better.
She is.
With the potty training and stuff. We almost had a 100% hit rate until I left her in your hands. So, whose fault is that?
The dogs. I will take no credit for something I had no control over. I do not decide.
Are you using the words? Are you using the words potty?
I am.
You are?
Yes.
Okay.
I've almost decided to stop using it because each time I do
you
that,
gotta use it.
I know. But each time I do it, she goes in.
She pisses right away, right?
Almost. No, not immediately. It's usually it's gotten from immediately to 10 minutes later or 15 minutes later.
Oh, where you're talking take her out and then bring her back inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. There have been times where I've looked at her, I've said, do you want to go potty? And then she pees right there. And I go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that is what I'm teaching her to do, but do it outside. She's getting it. She was really good yesterday until I left her alone with you.
Mm-hmm.
Coincidence? I think not.
Perhaps.
But she peed and pooped this morning at 8 a.m. Like I always take her out at 8:30, somewhere around there, whenever I get my ass out of bed. Mm-hmm. And then she hasn't gone since. And it is now almost 6 o'clock, and she hasn't gone since. So I'm a little concerned about that. It's dinner time after the show, but I'm going to take her out dinner time and then take her out shortly after that as well. Because, that's what you're supposed to do. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, you're not here to hear us talk about our new gosh darn doggy problems. You are here for the video game news. And what a week for video games, Connor.
Some things happened. A lot of things. Showcase things.
It is showcase season, and we are going to go through. We're not going to go break down everything like we normally do. Here, let me start off with this. This is, of course, the Two Penny Gamescast. You can catch this every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@2pennygames, or mainstream podcast services of your choice. Each week, me and Connor come to you. We give you two topics, 2 pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. These topics concern news that happened within the video game industry. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment down below about some topics that you wish we had talked about. We would, of course, love the audience 2 pennies incorporated into the show as well. This week, it was Summer Game Fest season. Showcases left and right. We had one almost every day for 3 days in a row. It was a lot of business. You can find reactions to the PlayStation State of Play from last week that we talked about and broke down last week. You can find reactions to the Xbox Game Showcase, and when I get off microphone here and have time to upload it, the Ubisoft Forward reaction, which I recorded this morning. All of those are live, youtube.com/@2pennygames, so make sure you watch all of those to get our full thoughts on those conferences. We didn't do one for Summer Games Fest. We were all too busy to do it at the time, so we didn't. And normally, when one of these showcases or events happen, we go through and we break down all the games that happened and so forth and talk about how we thought about them. It's too much. Too much going on right now. Too many games. too much for one episode. So we're just going to kind of roll through all the important information, name the game, give the date or any new information that was given at the time or whatever. But we've each handpicked 3 games or 3 moments of each show that we want to talk about, with the exception of Ubisoft Forward, because Ubisoft Forward didn't really have a whole lot of interesting stuff going on in that. Spoilers. So Summer Games Fest, we've each picked 3 things to talk about. Xbox, we each picked 3 things to talk about, and we'll talk about it when we get to it in the run of show. Make sense?
It does to me.
It does, in fact, to me as well. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Our first topic of the day, Connor, SGF. Let's talk about it. Of course, SGF started off with something that had been kind of leaked prior to the show, so we kind of knew about it. I am, of course, pulling a recap from IGN by Michael Kripe. I can't imagine his name is Michael Kripe.
Kripe.
It's probably Kripe. It's probably Kripe. And so I've looked through this list. Not everything is in it, but it's the big stuff is here. And so it starts off with, of course, move to your right, just a skosh. There you go. It starts off with actually the first game that I want to talk about today, which is Lego Horizon Adventures, which was announced at SGF here. It was the first game that they showed. And I just want to say that it looks cool and fun, and I wish Horizon always looked this cool and fun. It seems like a really big blast to play with the kids and play with other family members, or if you're just a fan of Lego games, it looks like a good Lego game as well. I love all the detail in the environments. I think the jokes are funny. I think the gameplay looks pretty dynamic for a Lego game. And so I'm excited to see what they do here and to see if PlayStation is interested in doing that more with some of its other properties. Uncharted kind of feels like it could have been due for a Lego game if Uncharted was in its prime or something like that. Sure, we can sit here and criticize it being Horizon because Horizon is not the most important IP from the PlayStation, but if you look at it under the scope of availability or accessibility, in terms of their 2 biggest franchises right now are undeniably Last of Us and God of War, right? Both of those are M-rated franchise. People are getting cut to bits, mature topics and handlings and so forth. Horizon, you're just fighting robot dinosaurs, man. And it's just a fun time fighting robot dinosaurs. So it kind of eludes itself to a children's game easier. So I think it's a smart pick. Spider-Man, I guess you could do that, but we've had a bunch of Lego superhero games already. We don't really need more of that. It's not exclusive. It's not a PlayStation IP. It's a comic book thing outside of PlayStation. So if PlayStation wants to have one of their IPs represented in a family-friendly way, Horizon I think is the best choice.
It is from an objective standpoint.
Yeah,
but
a little boring.
And it goes beyond being boring. This isn't an outright criticism. It's more something that's kind of confirmed it in my mind that Horizon, considering how much attention it gets for how many people enjoy it to the way they do, I can't see this as being anything other than a Sony industry plant, so to speak. Because think about it this way, right? You had 2 games come out. Each time they were overshadowed by something else that they never altered
Can't really
their course.
control that.
You can't control it. Well, you can't.
I mean, you could do things to help, but yeah, I wouldn't say that that's not Horizon's fault.
No, that's certainly not the dev's fault or
No.
the game itself fault.
Yeah.
Because the first one particularly is a really interesting experience. It's a fun experience.
Oh yeah.
2 as well, just too much of the same thing. I'll stick with this first before I go into my original point. The game does look fun. The people who make the Lego games already have their focus of what kind of games they want to make, and I only see them as getting better as someone who hasn't played them.
Yeah.
Just because they keep doing more and more and more, and you never hear someone say, this new Lego game sucked. It was disappointing. It's always,
I mean, there's some
fun.
stinkers for sure, but yeah, for the most part, they're fun.
Recently, though,
Yeah.
there was definitely stinkers, in kind of more days past.
Yeah.
They've really,
They found their
been doing-
formula.
They found their formula, exactly. And so this, like you said, it does seem like it's doing the most as far as a Lego game has done in the past, and I just see that as increasing over time. And Horizon, as you said, is a good game to do that with due to the subject matter. But going back to since the release date, we had that moment with Genshin Impact shortly after it released where we had Aloy in the game.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, she didn't fit at all. And apparently, there was like an upgrade tree that goes with a lot of the characters, and it just was never like fleshed out at all. Like there was an event that was going to happen, and they just didn't do it all the way. And it was just a really weird case of, okay, she's in this game. That's, whatever. But then you see her a lot in like the promotional images, like a forward character of like, this is one of our guys. When you do those, so many images of all your big characters.
I would say she is.
Aloy?
Horizon is successful. It doesn't feel like it's successful. It arguably doesn't have the impact of it, but it is one of their most successful franchises. I think it's their most successful new IP. I can't think of another one that came out the gate swinging as hard as Horizon did. Ghost, maybe, but again, Ghost, M-rated, lots of blood, handling mature themes and so forth. People getting stabbed and cut open. You can't put that in front. You can't put that on the box as easily as you could put Aloy on the box. Aloy, if we just want to talk optics, also the diversity pick being a woman, and undeniably the rest of PlayStation's roster is dominated by dudes. Nathan Drake, Joel for a long time, but now Ellie. Kratos, Spider-Man, Jin, the list goes on and on and on. The dude from Days Gone was on there for a little while. He's kind of been phased out.
I wonder why.
Yeah, right. So I think like people see Aloy, they know who Aloy is. They at least know that's Horizon, and people like Horizon.
They do.
Yeah.
But at that point, why don't you put one of those giant mech T-Rexes on there, People are going to go, what is that thing?
No.
They're the coolest looking.
No.
You look at, like,
the robot dinosaur. The robot dinosaur is totally like that's more generic than Aloy is.
No, it's not. I mean, like, when you're looking at a character spread, right? You say Kratos, the characters you were saying before, Nathan Drake, Joel, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, giant fucking monster, dinosaur, robot. That pokes people. That catches people's attention more than a character who no one really cares about.
I mean, usually, like, the key art is the robot dinosaur behind Aloy.
It is.
So, like, you have a point, but, like, PlayStation doesn't want to advertise the robot dinosaur. They want to advertise the character, know? And so, because the character is more recognizable than a robot dinosaur. Like, it just is, So it's Aloy. And also, like...
Her design is striking.
The first one came out shortly after the Braid Disney movie or whatever. Brave, the Disney movie or whatever. So, like, yeah, the design is striking, and it kind of... It speaks to an element that has been proven in the general populace and so forth. So, and we're getting a Horizon Amazon show, I think. Mm-hmm. Is that one a show or a movie? That one's a show.
It's a show.
Yeah, I think that one's a show. We're allegedly getting one of those. Who knows if that ever comes true? We're getting allegedly a Horizon Zero Dawn remake. We're getting a multiplayer game, Monster Hunter styled or something. We're getting a lot of Horizon,
Yes,
and this is the first of the dam breaking open and us getting a bunch of Horizon where nobody seems to be asking for this, but somebody is a fan of this.
The people at the head of PlayStation planting things. I
would argue the attach rate for Horizon is probably higher than you think.
Sure, I bet it's higher than I think, but like we also got the VR game as well. Just so many
VR game
things.
Yeah, I forgot about that one as well. Yeah,
they're doing a lot with just this one character. I'm just like, out of all of them,
what else are you gonna? What else from their lineup right now are you gonna do? I would say Uncharted would have been better than this, but Uncharted is past its prime, kind of over, on hiatus, whatever you want to call it. Like, Uncharted would have been a better thing in 2012, 2013, 2014. But now we are, and you got things like that. The PlayStation Vita got an Uncharted game, Mm-hmm. But now, in 2024, in the 2020s at all, what franchise are you going to pull this for?
I guess it's a really hard thing just because this game's so, not bland, but it's just...
It's a little basic.
It doesn't catch you,
it appeals, it appeals to the most amount of people as possible.
So are we going to see a phasing out of Aloy as this a more forward front character when Astrobot comes out?
No, of course, because
not.
Astrobot's whole thing is celebrating the other guys.
Yeah,
but I do see Astrobot landing on the page. Probably going to replace the Return old lady.
That's really?
Yeah. Astrobot will 100% replace the Return old lady. But anyways, back to the game. Game looks good. I'm going to play it. I know you're not going to play it.
No.
Yeah, I want to play this.
But that's because I'm not a Lego video game player.
Yeah.
It's the reason why I didn't play the Lego Lord of the Rings game, even though I heard that was good.
Yeah.
Just Not my cup of tea, but looks good.
I like Lego games. They're not my favorite thing in the world. I like Horizon enough to where, sure, the combination of the two. And also, I'll say, Aloy in that trailer is super charming. I like her a lot. Hey, Gorilla, get out of Ashley Birch's way. She is really charming when she can be very excitable and like let that personality come through. When she's Tiny Tina, when she's Lego Aloy, all her other roles where she's more excited. I enjoy her performance way more in that scope as opposed to what we get from her in the Horizon games, where she's kind of bland, you know? Part of that is by design, but
they try to make her the more stoic, rational character.
Yeah.
But it comes across as not being interesting. So
I
you're
agree.
just left with bland.
And I also think they want the player to kind of attach themselves to Aloy, because remember, they also have the dialogue choices in Horizon, which is, I think that's a bad choice. I don't think they should, but they've done it for 2 games, so now they got to do it for the 3rd, you know? But, yeah. I like Aloy fine, but she's definitely not one of my favorites.
Yeah, she's a fine character.
But if she was more like this all the time, she might be one of my favorites.
He would most likely push forward.
Moving on, let's get through some of these games. Harry Potter Quidditch Champions launches this year, September 3rd, 2024. No Room in Hell 2 is entering early access this Halloween. Star Wars Outlaws, we'll talk more about that later, coming August 30th. We already knew about that. Civilization 7 got announced. That's cool for people who like Civilization. Honestly, you know what? It's cool for everybody. Also coming to consoles in 2025. New thing for Civilization. Very exciting. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero.
Legendary.
Official release date set for October 11th, 2024. Batman Arkham Shadows. This is the VR Batman game. Has, what's his name? Roger Craig Smith, reprising his role as Batman in here. Honestly, looked pretty good in my opinion.
Go buy a VR.
Huh?
Go buy a VR then.
Yeah, no. Street Fighter 6 is getting a Fatal Fury crossover.
Badass.
Blumhouse Games unveils Crystal Theater of Idols, Fear the Spotlight, and more. Blumhouse is just basically, for the news, they're grabbing a bunch of indie studios who make cool and creative indie horror games and kind of like bundling them up and giving them to the people and so forth.
They want to get in the market.
Yeah, and I think they're going about it in a smart way.
Yeah.
You know, they're not trying to do it themselves. They're saying, let's fund some smaller people, like what they do with movies, where they go, let's fund some smaller people, get them a look, and, you know, we'll get some product out of that. They also said they're working on Five Nights at Freddy's 2. We already knew that, of course, but they were just, you know, reminding us that it was happening. Power Rangers Rita's Rewind. It's a classic beat-em-up style game. Honestly, it looked pretty good.
It did. Really good presentation
Yeah.
for that one.
No date on that one, however. Mecha Break sets beta test date for this August. This is a Mecha 5v5 battle game, so forth. You and Phil were impressed. I thought it looked kind of generic.
Hey, if Armored Core 6 can give us like some of the best combat in the year it came out, and this one just focuses on doing that in a multiplayer setting, easily can be amazing. Easily.
You're gonna say Mecha Break looked as good as Armored Core 6.
Close to it.
There, you're crazy. The first Descendant gets July release date, July 2nd, 2024. Alan Wake 2 Night Springs DLC is out. You can play it now. Very exciting 3 episodes, spotlighting 3 different characters within Alan Wake 2. Looks cool.
Have you heard if it's good or bad or okay? Or
I haven't heard anything. None of the gaming folks have, none of the reviewers have been able to do it because they're all busy covering Summer Games Fest or whatever. But I'm sure it's fun. Skate gameplay reveal, console play tests are on the way. This was a waste of time. You should have just stayed there. They are in pre-alpha, they said.
Jesus.
Yeah. Valorant is coming to consoles. Very exciting stuff. Among Us animated series clip and Outer Sloth revealed. I wanted to stop right here and for my second bit to talk about with Summer Games Fest. Sure, the Among Us TV series, whatever. It's gonna be cool or fun, whatever. They showed a clip that kind of looked like the intro. Like the intro to the show of what it would be. It looks kind of cool. But one thing that I think is really cool is Inner Sloth, the developers of Among Us, are using some of that Among Us money that they got. I fucked up the fucking thing. God damn it. This one.
Shit.
Inner Sloth, the developers among us are doing are creating a program in which they can help support indie devs and get their games off the ground and provide them funding in cases that otherwise they would not receive funding. We talk so much on this show about the state of the industry, the amount of layoffs, the amount of studio closures, which I will say good on Jeff Keighley for opening Summer Games Fest, acknowledging the amount of closures and putting a spotlight on indies. He kept saying in the lead up to this that of like, hey, set your expectations kind of low. There's not going to be any crazy bangers, this, that, and the third. I understand why he did it that way. I wish he had said, hey, we're going to put a huge spotlight on indies. And instead of lower your expectations and kind of demean indie devs at the same time. I don't think he intentionally did it that way, but
you understand what he's saying.
I understand from a marketing perspective why he was saying what he was saying, but this was an indie showcase is what this really was. Is we saw a lot of really great indie games, and we're going to dive into a couple more before we're done talking about it.
It's a matter of framing what you're saying rather than just...
Yeah. So as a indie showcase, I thought this was fantastic. We didn't talk about our opinions about SGF. I watched the whole thing. You didn't, right? You just watched kind of the trailers and so forth.
Too long for me to sit through.
2 hours is a long time. It did not need to be that long. The pace of the show was quite drawn out. There was a lot of filler in the show, a lot of ads. It was a Jeff Keighley show. I thought overall it was fine. Mm-hmm. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was fine. It was a Jeff Keighley show and everything that comes with that. Mm-hmm. I thought it was fine. But I did appreciate the spotlight on the indies, and there were quite a few games that I actually pulled, and I'm like, I want to keep track of these, and when they come out, I want to play them. We'll get to a few in a second. Anyways, Inner Sloth, Among Us devs, they're kind of giving back, and I like that. I like seeing someone in a prosperous position give back and do more and reach out to the community. Alongside the Blumhouse, I enjoy them giving opportunities to indie devs. This is a time in the industry where it is very appropriate to give back to the little guy because the big guy is fucking us really hard. So being able to reach back and go, hey, little indie dev, you've got your little horror game, or little indie dev, you've got your like Star Fox inspired game that you want to make or whatever. I like guys like Inner Sloth with their Outer Sloth program reaching out and giving back because Inner Sloth was that guy. Who they put out a game, nobody cared about it, and then randomly, because of a global pandemic, blew the fuck up and made millions of dollars.
3 college-age students that just did not expect what they had on their hands.
Exactly. And they're trying to get their feet out or their feet underneath them in that, but also taking the time to try and give a spotlight to other guys. I really love this. Great move. I hope it proves to be successful and they will be able to continue providing this program to other devs. I think that's really awesome.
We shall see.
Moving on. Dune Awakening story trailer. Launch PC, Steam, PS5, Xbox Series X. They're getting a demo in August, right? Or it'll come back Gamescom at August. This was another thing that they kept talking about during the show. It was like, here, we'll see you in a few months. And I was like, all right, I guess I can kind of enjoy that. Like, that gives me more to go on than just, this was a cinematic trailer. I didn't get anything from it. If, you're leaving me with keep an eye out. We'll be back in a few months. I kind of enjoy that.
Yeah.
There's also the argument of then just wait the few months and don't say anything. But marketing's got to be marketing. Next is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. We find the trailer for this. There it is. Connor, you wanted to stop and talk about this game here. Yes. Actually, I agree with you. I want to talk about this game too. This game, I thought looked fun.
Yeah.
I think it looks fun.
And I played the first one. I was very focused on developer updates when the first one was coming out, and then I played it, and I'd seen the reviews. It was kind of like mid-high 70s, some low 70s, because it's a medieval simulator, I guess you could call it. It's so much so that in the first game, I don't know how they'll do it in this one. You would have to do things like learn to read from the ground up.
What the fuck?
Because you're a peasant. You're a peasant guy who works in a smithy, and you're thrust into a situation where you can learn it. You would learn things like that. You would get better at the combat system was really dynamic. It kind of functions in a similar way to Mordhau, with you using the cursor or the analog stick to know where you're striking, whether it's right, up, or upper right, upper left, up, right, all like the whole axis,
The directionals.
right? Exactly. And it was fun, but it could be frustrating at times because it was very demanding in what it required of you. And even despite these things that some people might say slow it down and make it harder for the average gamer to get in, it was fun for somebody who plays video games a lot. And there was a lot of potential for me to play more of it and get better at it. And it would also have, pretty cool battles going on. When you did get those moments where the combat was coming to you really well, it was so cool to just riposte, attack, because they base it off of actual like medieval manuscripts for how you fight. So it functions in a realistic way, but the translation to a extremely fun, fluid combat system was really what they needed to work on the most. And that was a game that came out in 2016, I want to say. So years ago, almost a whole 10 years. And so I want to see what they are able to improve upon. It definitely seems like they're going with a slightly different tone. It being a sequel, you kind of started at a certain place.
There's like some comedic, like satire or
Yes.
satirical type tone. Like it's trying to be funny and entertaining, and that's what kind of attracted me. This is not the prettiest game in the world. It doesn't look like it's going to be mechanically the most interesting game in the world to me. From what you're describing, I think some of that sword play is still there, but it does look like they've kind of simplified things in order for you to be able to interact with more things. Am I wrong in that, or does it kind of look like just a more advanced version of what we had before?
That's what I'm curious about because. When I was watching those developer updates for the
Is this
first
a single-player game or multiplayer?
Single player.
Single player?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was watching those developer updates, I was like, okay, this is what the combat system's like. That's really cool, sick. I got my hands on it. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Part of that is by design because you're supposed to get better at swordplay because, once again, you're a low-born peasant that's never held a sword before. And so there's a training angle that the game introduces. This is after he's gone through everything. So I feel like it'll jump you in with not having to have the steep learning curve the original game offered. And I think with possibly since they made the game with their vision all the way back in 2016, now that it's years later, they might say, okay, let's make it a bit more easy for the average audience gamer to sink their teeth into it. The comedies, as you mentioned, is kind of the highlight of that, since that was not the tone of the original game. So I'm just really interested to see how the system mechanics work in this one.
I like the sim aspect of it,
Yes.
the talking to different characters and playing events out in different ways and so forth, and kind of living a medieval life type thing that's going on. I like the tone. I like what they're pitching. This was a good trailer.
Yep.
I like what they pitched a lot here.
Coming out in August. I think August? Yeah.
No
No, they didn't
release
say. They
date.
didn't
The
say.
project is coming this year.
Yes.
Is what they're saying. So we'll see. Slitterhead gameplay trailer reveals November release date, November 8th, 2024. Delta Force Hawk Ops promises global PC alpha test in July. And then next, the one that absolutely just stole the show and everybody was talking about, and everybody was just sort of the meme of the entire weekend here, in probably the best way possible. Killer Bean was revealed.
Killer Bean, baby.
And this is the second game that you wanted to talk about.
It is. So do you know anything about Killer Bean?
I know it's an internet meme.
It's more than it's not a meme.
Oh, okay.
So in 2008, a guy made a film called Killer Bean.
Okay.
He was the only person that worked on it. And it looks almost exactly like this, visually and whatnot. I believe he was an animator on like The Matrix 3 and some other like big film, but he did it from the ground up. He did voice acting. He did animation. There's tons of dance moves and flips and like crazy movements that you see showed in this game.
VFX artist doing a VFX artist thing.
Well, he mocapped it himself.
Yeah.
There's even footage of him like doing the fucking moves and whatever. And the movie that came out, I have yet to see, unanimously is said to just be like a super fun movie.
Oh.
It's tongue-in-cheek. It knows the fact it's a ridiculous game, ridiculous movie, and feeds into that. With one scene, for example, the Killer Bean walks out the restroom, and he's like, that was a double flusher. And the guy is like, you only flushed once. And he starts walking away, and he just like shrugs, like, whatever. And so that's, that kind of humor is in this game. And now we're getting, in the movie, but now we're getting a game. And honestly, they seem to be doing a lot of things right. I saw some extra details that were not highlighted here. This is a roguelite.
Yeah.
And it does some interesting things where they're saying you're going to meet characters who, on one hand, might be your ally and help you out, while enemies might obviously try to kill you. But then in other subsequent playthroughs, those same allies might betray you and try and stab you in the back, while your enemies might help you out and be your it might switch that stuff up.
Well, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, but even aside from that, the gameplay looks like it's wacky, crazy fun. You're jumping in the air, catching grenades, and putting it under your leg and throwing it back.
Yeah. They went crazy with the animations, crazy with the things to do. It's one of those that hey man, this is gonna be a janky ass game. It is not gonna be super well made. Again, made by one person. This video game, which is it looks like it, but it's impressive of how just creative and bold they're trying to be with it, and how much fun they're trying to have with it. This is in that same realm of Goat Simulator. You know?
Untitled Goose Game.
Exactly, yeah, stuff like that. And I think it looks fun. You're running around the streets, you're shooting people, you're driving cars, you're doing flips, and yeah, it looks like a fun time.
And I think we're gonna get extremely wacky with zombies at the end, and then a ship shooting at you. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with that game.
Indeed. Next, I don't think it's in this IGN article, but I do want to talk. My final thing for this showcase is Cairn. Got revealed here. This is just something I just kind of want to showcase and so forth, because this is the game that I was like, oh, I want to play this. Is a climbing sim game, but it totally captures the frustration that it is to be mountain climbing and so forth. And there's a lot of humorous moments where the character falls and gets frustrated and yells and is screaming and is but the satisfaction of reaching the top of the mountain and so forth. It looks really cool. It looks like it's going to tell kind of a bit of a heartwarming story and so forth, but also not take itself too seriously at the same time. It's definitely, I don't know how they're going to do the control scheme in that. It seems complicated and kind of tricky and difficult. But also climbing a mountain is tricky and difficult. So, kind of, reaching there. So it looks like a lot of fun. I want to play it. Does it have a release date of anything? I know it says 2024 in this trailer. Let's see here. Aaron, I think it's just 2024. Well, we hit an ad, so maybe it's nothing. I don't know. But yeah, I'm super, super, super interested in this. This was the one that I was like, I need to keep track of this one and play it.
I remember this game got revealed prior. This was not the first showcasing of it. And your reaction during that original showcase was like, okay. And it didn't show anything at all. It was not this in-depth at all. It seems like it operates pretty simply until you get to certain points where you're really having to use those footholds and pick them out and use your janky leg to land on them.
Well, I also love you're using the safety rope and you're nailing yourself into the wall and creating sort of checkpoints with yourself. You're using your nights when it's time to camp to kind of train up and get ready for the next day type thing. Yeah, I think this game looks fun. I want to play it.
Hey, if you like Power Wash Simulator, that's using a power washer. Climbing a mountain's more entertaining as a general thing,
right? So yeah,
I'm
I'm pretty interested in that one. Wonder Stop trailer reveals a cozy game with a dark secret. This is coming to PC via Steam and PS5 later this year. New World at Aeternum gets October release date.
Amazon's still trying to
October 15th, 2024. Hey, this looked actually kind of good. Most of these games look good. Some of them I was not interested, but most of them looked pretty decent. There was one or two that I was like, this looks like crap.
A lot of this seemed because people's opinions of Summer Game Fest wasn't the highest. It really seems like it's probably because of the presentation mixed in with the games that were being shown.
I agree.
Whereas the games themselves hold up individually.
Yeah. But I also like how open Jeff Keighley keeps the doors. He doesn't, gatekeep just because your game doesn't look awesome. If you have the means to get on that stage, he puts you on that stage.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. Pal World is getting a new island and more pals as an update coming June 27th. More Pal World. Hey, I like Pal World fine. I'm not coming back for this update, but for those who are looking for a reason to, this is a good reason to. Monster Hunter Wilds gets crossplay on all platforms coming in 2025. Did we know this already? Yeah, because it was at the State of Play, right? Yeah. Kanitsu Gami, Path of Goddess, nabs July release date of July 19th, 2024. And then finally, the big final thing for Summer Game Fest is Phantom Blade Zero had a gameplay trailer. We already knew about Phantom Blade Zero, but they kind of went a little more in depth, and they announced that you can demo it at different places. Let me see if I can find that information. But you wanted to talk about this. Gamescom in August, Tokyo Game Show in September. You can play it at those shows if you're going to those shows. We are not. So we're just going to have to wait for either an actual demo to launch, which I imagine they will probably, just because the internet hype for this one has been kind of real.
Yeah, and I saw a developer comment saying that it's kind of like a mix between Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance and Bloodborne, or maybe he said Sekiro. I can't remember entirely, but that alone would, if
good games.
An elevator pitch would, work with me. But seeing the game in action, this seems like it could be super fucking good. Obviously, it's a Souls-like.
Yeah.
Souls-likes can be extremely good, like Lies of P that came out last year, or it can be not so great, like Lords of the Fallen, which came out last year. But Phantom Blade Zero, it seems like it's going a lot more of the crazier, not cinematic, but high-octane action, flashy presentation, which I like. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, I've determined is one of my favorite games I've played. We did a list individually.
Check those out.
Check those out, please. And that kind of style of game mixed in with Souls elements, I think really, not even outside of my own personal preferences, I think is just a perfect recipe to hit a banger. And you mentioned the fact that people are talking about it a lot, more than I think any next to Bean and this game, and probably something else I can't remember, were the ones I was seeing the most talk about after the showcase happened.
A lot of Killer Bean.
A lot of Killer Bean. Yeah. Because he is Mimi, to your original point. But this one seems to be, a very substantive game.
The talk around this one was, I can't believe this is a video game. Like, it doesn't look real.
No.
Type thing. And I think that speaks to just, the quality of how things look, the flashiness of it. It looks good. I'm interested, but it's not high on my, anticipated list.
Yeah.
But I am interested in it. I'm more interested in the response to this game than I am in actually playing the game. It looks really good. It looks really well made, super flashy, and I hope it backs all that up and is really, really fun.
I mean, the question I would have for you, Tavin, is if it had a parry system like Sekiro, would that be a onboarding for you?
Maybe not. I don't know. The parries don't a parry system doesn't automatically sign me up, Yeah. I don't know what would sign me up here, but I think just aesthetically it's not really my style. But I can't deny that this looks really fucking fun. So if it turns into, oh my god, you gotta play Phantom Blade Zero, you have to, I might check it out. Connor, let's move on to the Xbox Game Showcase, which I think we can both agree was by far the best showcase of the season so far.
It had your attention from beginning to end.
Yeah, just jam-packed with games, great pace. Sure, we're going to bring Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, Matt Booty out, they are going to talk a little bit, but they're going to come in and out really quickly. And we're going to keep the camera moving on them so that you're not getting bored and so forth. I think Xbox has been on a great run with their showcases lately, and this is the best of it. This is the absolute peak.
You're absolutely right. But they are the worst on this entire Summer Games Fest because they've been getting a lot of flack for some studios they canceled recently.
Well, Ubisoft.
Yeah.
And PlayStation's closing studios too. Let's not act like it. But it's just Xbox hurts.
The most egregious one. Because all the other stuff you can rationalize to a certain extent. But going to Tango Gameworks, the creators of Hi-Fi Rush, before then Evil Within, which has all gotten good receptions, but commercially successful was Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
And it still got the axe.
Yeah.
And I bring this up again because there were comments that were made by Phil Spencer where he was
interviewed at SGF for this.
The crowd, I'll say beforehand, the crowd cheered into his response to the question that was asked. Every single one of those people is a brain-dead fucking idiot. I hate every single person that cheered in his response.
They cheered to his response?
Yes.
Okay.
It was literally most generic. Sometimes
it was
we
lip
do
service.
things.
It was lip service for sure.
And the problem with that is he tried to hide in a hole, Phil Spencer. Sometimes we have to make decisions, and
I'm not gonna go that hard.
Let's not say hide in a hole. Let's say give a stupid, pathetic answer. Because
I'm not even going that harsh.
I will definitely go that harsh because He just completely acts like, hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. That was his reaction to a game that has, by no metric that anybody can see, had any reason to be canceled other than like they paid a bunch for Blizzard's acquisition and they needed to make cuts. And that's not a proper answer for anybody.
I agree with your overall message. I just don't agree with the sentiment. I do believe him when he says, hey man, this was hard. We didn't like to do it. We didn't want to do it. I believe him when he says that. But like, how do you respond to that situation? What do you say there to be like, oh yes, absolutely,
extremely easy. So you bring up the fact that other game studios that got closed at the same time were ones that hadn't had very not well received games, but financially successful games. They had the big fail with Redfall. Obviously,
so you're just really upset that. Well, yeah, but Arcane Austin also made great games before that. So one failure dictates the survivability of your studio?
It's a failure that happened, and then when was the last time they substantially made a game? It was Prey? I believe it was Prey.
They are Prey, and I think the first Dishonored.
Which, the first Dishonored obviously makes sense, but Prey, my understanding is that it didn't make that much money.
Yeah.
So these things you can say, okay, from a business perspective, the response he gave would work for something like that, because games fail, and in game studios where you have to hit with a lot of your games.
But also, you have to remember, the year before, Tango Gameworks had a flop.
They did.
Ghostwire Tokyo, it was a flop. Like, we're still working within those realms. Evil Within was liked, but I wouldn't argue beloved, and it wasn't the most successful franchise of all time.
No, it was not.
So, but Hi-Fi Rush did great, yes. But how many people bought it as opposed to going through Game Pass? How much revenue did it actually generate?
Well, see, once again, that comes up because they gassed it up. They talked about how successful it was and how good it was.
Because it was their only win that year.
Exactly. So when you do something like that and then you close it later on, the generic response of you got to make hard decisions, cuts have to be made, doesn't work because it doesn't apply to that specific situation.
Yes. I think that's because Xbox has a problem of talking too much. Shut the fuck up, Xbox. Stop fucking talking.
That's the thing. All of this is like, they talk too much, so that's why we give them a little bit of an out. Or, hey, you just messed up with a PR move. I think that's giving them too much of an easy out. Just it hands it to them basically. You have to get a different response.
I'm not looking to give them an out. I'm just trying to understand how we got here.
Yeah, which there was no explanation of that at all. It was the generic.
Well, I think part of the reason there's so much outrage is because they keep talking about how much they care about their studios, how much they want to keep building their studios and their IPs up, and support the artistry of game making. They keep talking about these things. The reason we don't like when any of these studios have to get closed or layoffs hit or anything. Of course, we don't like those things. But the reason we're not so mad at a PlayStation for doing it, or a Ubisoft for doing it, or an EA for doing it, is because they shut the fuck up and they stop talking about how much they want to build up their studios and support them. They turn into these corporate stooges, which we also don't like, but it doesn't invoke outrage when the business part comes in. And unfortunately, Xbox has put themselves in a position where they have made themselves too valuable under the umbrella of Microsoft with the giant purchase of Activision Blizzard King. And so now Microsoft is being more hands-on. So now that we have to make these cold business decisions, and of course nobody likes it because Phil Spencer keeps marketing himself as the likable, hey, I'm for the people guy. Well, guess what? When a huge super business turns into a super business, you can't be the nice, super nice, personable for the people guy. You can't be that guy. So yeah, we backlash and we say, fuck you, Xbox, for doing this after saying this, that, and the third. But if they never said this, that, and the third, we would still be upset, but it wouldn't be outrage. And you wouldn't be sitting here calling Phil Spencer a coward because of these things. But what the fuck, we don't like that Herman Hulst is doing Herman Hulst shit either. You know? I'm just saying, I'm not trying to cut them slack. I'm just trying to find the understanding of why we are here and why we as an audience feel the way we feel. I'm right here with you, where I don't like it either. And I'm upset and enraged. I said it on this podcast also. But what else is Phil supposed to say when he's asked this question?
I think your point makes sense in the context of Phil Spencer as a figure, like comparing him to Herman Hulst.
Yeah.
Herman Hulst doesn't get up there, so he doesn't have the face to attack as much.
Or when he does, it's just, this fucking business stooge.
Yeah, because it translates to PlayStation, Sony as a whole.
Yeah.
But going back to those games when they close studios, there isn't such a clear-cut case of massive success and then closing it a year later.
I don't think Hi-Fi Rush was as successful as Xbox wanted us to believe it was.
That's their fault then. And they never.
I agree. It is their fault. But what else are they supposed to do when they're fighting the FTC, when Redfall is a huge flop, and Xbox sales are down? What else are they supposed to do other than big up the one win they had that year?
But that also doesn't make sense for a couple of reasons. First of all,
and Starfield was middling.
Well, you would think that that's a reason to keep on pumping into it, something that works. But they didn't do that. They closed it down. And other studios don't have, even if you say, okay, we don't know how successful it was, that also feeds into the PR stuff.
But also, let's be honest. Xbox did not buy Bethesda and take, who owns Bethesda? Tango?
ZeniMax?
No, ZeniMax. Did not buy ZeniMax for Tango Gameworks. They didn't. That's not why they bought them.
No.
They bought them for the Bethesda Game Studio games, Machine Games, and id. Those are the reasons you buy ZeniMax, is for those reasons. All the other guys, I'm not trying to be demeaning here, but they kind of do fall to the wayside when you start looking at your biggest prospects here. I'm sorry. Listen, I wanted Hi-Fi Rush to be the next big Xbox franchise. I wanted Shy to be the face of Xbox for the next decade. Unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. It didn't do enough. What is enough? I don't know. It's fucked up that we're here. I hate that we're here. This industry is due for a crash. It's unfortunate, and there's going to be more heartbreak to come. But what is Xbox leadership supposed to do in this position? Now, I agree with you. They put themselves in that position. But what else are they supposed to do now that we're here?
To not cancel the studio in the first place. That's all you got to do.
But they have to, or else
they do not have. No, they do not have to.
They
do not have to.
This is entirely irrespective of
who else
is going to get caught.
Like you said, Machine Games. They haven't made shit. They haven't proven themselves in any way substantially.
Machine Games made 2 fantastic Wolfenstein games and is now working on Indiana Jones
with Microsoft.
Yes. What is Tango Gameworks working on? A Hi-Fi Rush 2? Hey, great. The Game Pass advertisement gets a sequel. Awesome. Game Pass has reached its peak on Xbox in terms of subscribers. PC is not growing as fast as they wanted to. It's just not bringing in enough revenue. It's just not. So what are they supposed to do?
We just sat through a showcase. How often did they say Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass? So you say something like
that. No. Now you're putting words in my mouth. I'm also going to criticize them for that. As amazing as this fucking showcase was, and the pacing was great, and we saw some great games.
But you can't criticize them for that.
Let me get it out. Let me get it out. Let me get it out.
You cut me off multiple times a second ago.
But let me get it out because I'm not done with this sentence yet. The quadrupling down on Game Pass is a continued pattern of failure. My dog is crying because we're yelling at each other.
Yeah.
The quadrupling down on Game Pass is them repeating this same mistake that they're still doing. They are not turning the ship around, and they probably should. Mm-hmm. My only point in all of this is I agree. That quote that Phil Spencer gave to that question sucks. It's trash. It's lip service, and it doesn't mean anything. What else is he supposed to say?
Nothing. He can't say anything.
But he has to, right? Because he's the face of the company, and they're going to ask him this question because Ryan McCaffrey, who gave the interview, is a good fucking reporter and does his fucking job. Mm-hmm. It sucks. I hate that we're here, but I'm not gonna trash on Phil Spencer for this. For this quote. I'm gonna trash on him for doubling down on these systems that don't work. But now that we're here, well, fuck, man, what are you gonna do? He's choosing to commit to his ideas. Or Microsoft is. Whoever is behind the scenes making these choices are choosing to commit. Because they probably have to. I don't know what other direction they can go in. Because if you kill the Game Pass program or make it less interesting, you're going to lose subscribers. Or you're going to lose that source of revenue. And now you're in an even worse position because the thing that is keeping the ship afloat right now is gone. Mm-hmm. I don't know what Xbox is supposed to do here. I don't. I'm not a business guy. I don't know their numbers and stuff. I hate that Tango Gameworks is gone too. I hate it. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. The game won all the awards in the world. It brought in Game Pass subscribers, 3 million plus players, and it wasn't enough? Fuck you. Critical acclaim out the ass in a generation, in 2 generations where you've had nothing. Fuck! I hate that we're here too, but this is where we are. So what do we do? Unfortunately, Tango Gameworks gets the axe. Because they're not id, because they're not Machine, because they're not Bethesda Game Software.
I guess if there is going to be something, this would be for people that would interview Phil Spencer, though it might hurt your chance of interviewing him. Just question every single time they gas up a new game: is this one secure? Is this one safe? You know,
Which one?
Anything.
Oh, any of them?
Anything. Like
The answer to that question, Connor, is no, unless you're one of the big guys. Hey, the other Arcane, if Blade fails, the other Arcane studio is gone too.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way this works.
So I guess my one request for anyone that would listen, is, relevant people.
That argument might catch some. I'm breaking that out. Best believe.
Oh, really? You break. Of course, you break this down.
Yeah.
But maybe just keep pushing it every single time. You know, when it comes to these situations, if they're going to gas it up as much as they have, well then, you know, gas up the issue at hand, which is you continuously closing studios. Cast down on every single thing they say, even if it's just to annoy the hell out of them. That's, you know, bad coverage for them and may influence their decision out, you know, for what they do with future projects or studios they currently have.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I don't like. I would feel like I would always have a target on my back if I was a dev studio under Microsoft Game Studios right now, because they have proven to us that Xbox, it's not enough just to bring in numbers. It's not enough to be critically acclaimed. You have to be Starfield, Call of Duty, Blade. And what do we do in that position? You know, there's nothing you can do in that position. And it fucking sucks. I'm nervous about Ninja Theory after Hellblade 2. Now, I think the only thing that gives them any credit is that Hi-Fi Rush was not an Xbox game. I know it came out on the Xbox and was exclusive, but it didn't start development under Xbox. It was not a Phil Spencer brainchild. You know, Hellblade 2 was. So maybe that will give Ninja Theory some credence in order to continue their conversation. You know what I'm saying? Or to continue the business of their studio and so forth. Despite, hey, guess what? It's not a hit. Like, nobody's talking about it. So, like, you know, I think hopefully it just being a studio under Xbox with a identity that Xbox has cultivated now will give them that amount of credit. Tango Gameworks wasn't that. Tango Gameworks had Hi-Fi Rush already in the oven when they were acquired, and they said, hey, look what we have, and Microsoft said, that's great, let's do it. You know, let's keep running with that. Let's get it out. Great, it's successful. That's fantastic. We have to make hard choices. We don't like that. We have to do this, and so this is what we're doing. I don't agree with it either, but this is where we are. We can't shut down Ninja Theory. They're about to put out Hellblade 2, and this game was really expensive. Really expensive.
Not, I hope they do something different.
Yeah.
Because Hellblade, I don't think as a franchise is sustainable.
I also want to be clear to the people at home watching us. When we start yelling at that, we're not mad or angry at each other. We're just very passionate, and we want this medium to continue it under a better way.
Though I do hate Phil Spencer. He can kick rocks.
Not going that far, but I'm extremely disappointed in Phil Spencer, and the excuses have run themselves dry.
I just get angry at snakes who try to smile in your face and then do scummy things.
I don't think Phil Spencer is that.
I think that when you get to a position like he's in,
yeah,
you either become a snake, a wormy guy, or you leave. And I think he's made his bed. You know, I'm assuming.
But what about the guy? What about the guy who's trying to double down and get it? And working every day to get it to work against the system that is corrupt.
As in, like Phil Spencer?
I think Phil Spencer is that guy who is trying to make it work under the system that is broken and corrupted.
Yeah, I don't give him enough credence for that. You know, I feel like he'd be a lot more...
I also don't think he's the... I'm not sure
mastermind.
I don't think he's the best guy to be put in that position, but I don't know who else you do. Because whoever else you put in that position is going to be the snake that you're talking about.
Every Xbox person. Matt Booty... Sarah Bond.
I think they are all like that. All the big three of Xbox, they are all people who are trying their best to get this ship to work the way it needs to work. But I don't know if they have a good answer.
That might be the case, but that's putting trust in the hands of a guy in a business suit or a woman in a business suit. And
I trust all three of these people more than a Yves Guillemot, a Herman Holst, all of them, you know. PlayStation got rid of all of their faces that we liked. You know, the Sean ladies and what's the other guy? I've forgotten his name. But they've gotten rid of all the people that we like, you know, and now they're just corporate stooges. Nintendo has been a corporate stooge for all of its life. And so, yeah, you just look around and you go, fuck, I guess we'll go with this team. You know? I don't know what the answer is here, Connor. I don't, you know, but I'm not.
Kevin,
I'm not going to be mad at the human element of it.
No, Kevin, that's the answer. You have to hate on things. Hate is how things continue.
Let's talk about this fucking showcase. We're going
Back to the
zoom
games.
through this because that took up a lot of time. Opened with a Call of Duty Black Ops 6 reveal trailer. Launches for PC, PlayStation, Xbox later this year. Moving straight into the first game that I wanted to talk about. Let me close a couple of tabs here so that I can focus.
That same ad.
Yeah, it doesn't play if I'm not on the page. Doom: The Dark Ages got announced. I'm very excited about this. I'm a big fan of Doom 2016, Doom Eternal. It was in my top 10 for 2020, and Doom: The Dark Ages looks sick as fuck. I love the design. We talked about it, you know, when it was rumored and leaked and all that. Even with the leaks and even knowing this was coming, it was quite impressive, everything that we saw here. I love the color. There's color in a Doom game other than red, and I think it works really, really well here. I love the creativity. They're having fun with Doom, and I think they should continue to keep having fun with Doom. So yeah, put this down as one of my most anticipated games of next year. It looks awesome.
It's cool because it seems like the shield is going to be obviously a key part of the gameplay. I'm curious to see if it develops as the game goes forward, or if it's just going to be what we saw, which is just kind of like an easy block tool / projectile to stun enemies, damage them a little bit. Regardless of what it does, you have that weapon right there, so I'm fine.
The fucking
Skull Crusher.
The Skull Crusher. So I saw someone say this is my head cannon because for people who can't see. It's a giant gun that crushes up skulls and spits the bone fragments out at your enemies. Super creative, awesome, love it. Yeah, everything basically like anything you can say about Doom Eternal here, I think they fucking showed their ass and it looks badass. Moving on, State of Decay 3 reappeared with a new trailer. Just so that we remember that that's happening. Dragon Age: The Veilguard trailer reveals a better look at BioWare's next RPG. I'll say this. We are recording this Monday evening. They are showing a gameplay demo tomorrow, Tuesday. This podcast goes live on Tuesday. It's going to be out of date almost immediately as you watch it. Maybe we'll cover it next week. Maybe we'll do a react to it. I don't know. But yeah, I'm excited to see what they have.
So am I. We saw a little bit of gameplay in advance.
Yeah.
Of
but it's just like some
showcase.
walk-in and doing some things or whatever. Yeah.
But I saw people liking that more than the trailer, which I mean, like, hey, in-engine stuff.
I like the direction we're going with Dragon Age.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's different. It's refreshing, but I think it still keeps to the roots of why you love BioWare.
Some people were saying that's not going to be good, but gameplay is what matters.
I'm waiting until we see this gameplay, and I think the rumblings are. The streets are saying, okay, this might be some good BioWare again.
Yeah. Oh, I hope.
Fallout 76 players are getting a new expansion, and you get to play as a ghoul. Is that cool for Fallout players, I guess?
I think so.
All right, cool. Starfield DLC trailer. They launched an update that day, so you can play that new update now. New weapons and other creator stuff that you can do. Mods are coming to Starfield. And then they showed off a new expansion, which it was a great trailer.
Real quick, I'm a hater of Starfield.
Yeah.
Isn't the worst game? No. I just think it's overrated. When this first started, I was like, wow, this looks cool. Interesting. What is it? And then it was like, oh.
I didn't believe it was Starfield because the trailer was so well made that I was like, that's not a Bethesda game. What is this game?
Maybe the core of the expansion. Yeah. Maybe the core of the expansion will be good.
War of Warcraft, The War Within gets a release date trailer of August 26, 2024. Cool just to see World of Warcraft at an Xbox stage. That they own that now. So cool. Nothing else other than that. Next is the game that you wanted to talk about, Connor. And I also wanted to talk a lot about alongside with you, which that is Claire Obscure Expedition 33. This is a Western turn-based RPG from a French studio. Came out of fucking nowhere and looks awesome.
It does.
Looks so fucking good. I love where they're giving us from world design, story setup. The combat looks awesome. They're using more of that sort of like Mario RPG. Sea of Stars did it really well last year, where it's sort of an active combat system where you have to parry and dodge, or you have to press a button to parry and dodge, not like actually parrying and dodging. But you just have to be active within the turn-based combat. I like it a lot. It looks fantastic.
It does. And I'm curious to see how deep the RPG mechanics go, because it's a crazy trailer. It's hard to parse out a lot of stuff that's going on. You might argue too much is going on the screen.
Really? I think it's super easy to read what's happening in the combat.
I saw that it was like, okay, traditional RPG settings, like combat system, but beyond that, what else, besides the Flash, are they going to do? With the Flash being as good as it is.
I mean, it's a turn-based RPG. What do you want?
Yeah. Well, what kind of interactions? Like, because Sea of Stars, you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's pretty open out the gate what you're reacting to on screen.
Yeah.
Dodges,
Well, that art style is
attacks.
also... I don't know.
Yeah.
There is a contingent of people online who don't like the direction that Final Fantasy has gone in. A little too actiony for their case. And I saw a lot of people going, oh, this is what we want.
Yeah.
So... I think for old school turn-based RPG fans, or people who just like turn-based RPGs in general, I think this is one to keep an eye on. This one is set to come out next year. And yeah, I think it looks really good. Next up, it's another one that I wanted to talk about. South of Midnight. This is the really cool like claymation / stop motion styled art style game that they announced last year.
It was last year.
Last year, yeah. We got a little bit of a story snippet in it. A little cutscene with some dialogue going forth. It was really fun and humorous and held your attention. So that's a highlight for me. And then it had a very it's a 3D action platformer game, and it looks a lot of fun. I'm getting a lot of like Kena Bridge of Spirits vibes from it. I'm struggling to pull another example right now, but that was the big one for me, where it looked a lot like Kena. A little bit of Soulsborne influence, a little bit of like just classic 3D action platformer stuff going on here. I think it looked really fun, and I'm not saying this is going to be like a 10 out of 10 masterpiece game, but this looks like a high 7, 8, 9s. Somewhere in those ranges. And so I'm excited to see what this one does.
The part I'm most wary about, not wary, because it doesn't look bad, is the combat. It just doesn't look like it's gonna, as you said, like it's a 7, 8 game. It seems like that's gonna be a very 7 gameplay, where you're like, okay, it's serviceable, it's good, it reacts well, but much substance beyond what a typical action.
What you say that, but what are you saying when you say that? Because when I look at this gameplay, the gameplay looks great. I agree that like it's generic in the setup of like we're putting you in a combat arena and you're fighting this giant monster or whatever. Yeah, that setup is generic. But when I see her animations, when I see the combos she's throwing out, when I see how she's dodging enemy attacks, it looks fluid in the ways like the game feel looks like it's gonna play very well.
It looks fluid. It's just what she's doing within the combat. It seems like run of the mill everything else. Oh, you get the stamina bar. You can get access to like a critical attack. This effect is cool. That appears.
I think all the effects are cool.
All of them are cool.
Yeah. I think
especially traversal.
Yeah,
it just looks like it's super fun.
I'm super into the style of this game. For sure.
It just seems like the moment to moment gameplay is going to be just like, okay, I'm running through this combat experience. Okay, done. Next thing, pump it into my veins. But hey, you said God of War, Ragnarok doesn't do anything 10 worthy, but it all adds up to one of your favorite games.
I think God of War clearly is a different tier above what we're gonna get from this game, but I still think it looks really good, and I'm excited to see it. Oh my God, Connor! Let's talk about the next game that I want to talk about from this thing. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. That's perfect, Dark. Fuck that. Get that the fuck off the screen. Nobody cares about that shit. I'm kidding. That game looks great too. Okay. I was obviously very excited when when this was announced and I first saw it. I very quickly became very concerned. I have a lot of questions about this. What type of remake are we going for here? How much of Kojima's vision is going to be upheld? How faithful is this game going to be? Is it just going to be good? Konami is a publisher that is troubling regardless of the developer behind it. This trailer with a little moments of gameplay, kind of snuck in there and iconic moments of Metal Gear Solid 3 shown off, gives me a lot more hope for this game. I'm gonna go from wary of it to cautiously optimistic of it now. I'm now excited to see more. And again, we're supposed to be getting more on Tuesday. When you hear this, it's going to be outdated. We're supposed to be getting a full gameplay look on Tuesday. That, I think, will show me if I will be able to allow myself to get excited for this. As of right now, I'm not excited for it, but I'm super interested in it. And just to get into this, it looks beautiful. It looks fantastic. I love how fluid the animations are. I love the cloth simulations on the characters. I love a lot of the lighting and what they're doing here. I will say something about its presentational style. I said this during the reacts as well. Something about the presentational style. We're kind of missing some of that character that Kojima inserts into all of his games.
Say it, Tavin.
It just doesn't look the personality is a little bit gone.
You were close to. There is a specific problem.
What are you trying to hear from me?
No piss filter. It looks too clean.
I did see someone put the piss filter on it, and it undeniably did look more like Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah.
But it didn't look good. So it's probably there's probably a good reason as to why it looks the way it looks. I think it's just because they went so realistic with it.
The physical combat seems like it really will hit, which I think is.
It's funny how you keep saying the original game is so stiff. So much of this looks like the original game combat to me, with the exception of the crouch walking.
The stealth and melee definitely do. I'm talking specifically, I should rephrase it, as gunplay.
Gunplay does look better.
Yes, but
it looks like they're going more third person over the shoulder, kind of like how Phantom Pain kind of went with it. I did see they are including the over the shoulder camera, but also the classic top down asymmetric camera is in there as well. So I don't know. I think this game's going to be super faithful.
Yeah, it's shaping up to be. Did you see the details that were coming out about injuries that Snake gets?
I didn't. What happens?
Okay, so apparently, we'll see how much this is actually going to hold up.
I imagine the gameplay demo that we see tomorrow will show us what's happening.
Maybe not, because
really?
What it did over the course of Snake's journey, he obviously is going to get shot. Apparently, he will get wounds on his body that are specific to your playthrough. And it'll carry its way all throughout. So by the end of it, he's going to have battle scars, battle wounds that are different from anybody else's. And it's going to be focused on where you get hit as well.
How do you do that?
Not fucking know.
How do you do that? I mean, we definitely have the technology for that.
Yeah.
But
someone said that.
How do you do that and make it work?
I don't know.
And what do you decide? What do you decide is a battle scar as opposed to just something that's going to be bandaged real quick and then gone by the next cutscene?
That's what I'm curious about. That's what the developer said. So, it wouldn't be the first time a developer has gassed up a certain feature for it to not actually be in the game. But that's, like you said, the technology should be there. And someone made a funny comment about how that was something that Kojima would ask his developers to do in 2003, and they'd shoot him or something like that.
They'd be like, fuck you, buddy. Get the fuck out of here. It's either that or the camouflage. What do you want? I want the camouflage. I want the camouflage.
You know you do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting. We'll see about that. I'm so exhausted after that argument or debate.
It's good.
Yeah, hey, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
You say that, and then you'll be like, "I love this breakout I did." It's got so look at this guy in the comment getting angry at so and so's position. I love it.
Sea of Thieves is going strong with more content in Season 13 coming out July 25th. Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn is out next month, July 18th, 2024. That game looks like fun.
It does look like fun.
And then Perfect Dark got its first gameplay trailer, finally re-revealed, we should say, with its first gameplay trailer here. Connor, you wanted to stop and talk about Perfect Dark. I was impressed.
As people who have not played the original.
Yeah.
But
just the story of development that this game has had, it's been kind of doom and gloom, and kind of it sounds like it's been hard for them to get it together. This looks well put together. This is a very impressive demo that they showed us. And the gameplay looks fun and interesting. Great stealth first-person shooter.
My literally only criticism, and it's surface level, is the main character looks generic as shit.
Yeah.
Whereas just the old...
should have got more red in the hair, right? If they were a little more vibrant in the red hair, I agree. I you look at it and you don't go, oh, that's the Perfect Dark girl. What's her name? Jessie something? No?
See, this is why it's so surface level. That's all I know is that she has a face.
She should have had that red hair like the Control lady has.
Yeah, exactly. Or she has highlights in the other game, which same thing. It would have been striking, something there.
But this game looks great. A lot of Splinter Cell, kind of meets Mirror's Edgy, but with like the sim aspect of like a Hitman.
Yep.
Looks great. First person looks great. It's wearing its influences on its sleeve, I think, obviously. But I'm very, very interested to see more. This was probably the biggest turnaround I had in perspective on a game in the entire showcase.
And it led the best breadcrumbs, because you see, like, okay, you got your pistol, you have your little scanner that you use to, record people's voices and solve puzzles. I wonder how deep these mechanics are going to go. Because with stealth games, you can get a lot of cool technology to make the stealth even more fun. But this is new territory for them, so hope whatever it is they decide feeds well into the rest of the game.
Yeah. Age of Mythology Retold is coming September... Where's the date?
4th.
September 4th, 2024. That game looks good too. Diablo 4, Vessel of Hatred got a cinematic trailer, and that's coming October 8th, 2024. Good trailer. Fable release window. Fable kind of gave us some like glimpses of what gameplay kind of looks like or whatever, but nothing super serious. More of a cinematic trailer. Good trailer. Launching in 2025. Fragpunk official reveal. This is a 5v5 hero shooter with you get to use cards. It's like a card deck to kind of change up the rules and circumstances of the match and so forth. Looked interesting, but we'll see.
It's not exactly hitting a market that's thriving right now.
I did hear some cool things from people who played at Summer Games Fest. They were very impressed with it. So
hey, anything can just hit.
Yeah,
you can't count it out just because of the type of game it is.
100%, and undeniably, I think it looks good.
It does. Yeah.
Winter Burrows is a survival game, kind of top-down, kind of reminded me a lot of Don't Starve. Not the Don't Starve devs, but it reminded me a lot, coming next year, 2025. Mixtape is one of those story narrative-based like games. What do you call them?
There's an anime type of show called Slice of Life.
There you go.
And
well, that's just a genre, Connor. It's not an anime thing.
It's a genre. Yeah, I know. It's something I only see associated with anime.
There was a Slice of Life movie, Boy Story?
Boyhood. We watched that.
Boyhood?
Yeah.
Did we watch it together?
We did. It was the guy growing up over
at my mom's house? Because we watched it with mom.
Yep.
Or I watched it with my mom. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was there.
That's a Slice of Life movie and so forth. This kind of gives you that teenage years, so forth. Great art style, so forth. Looks great.
Great music.
Life is Strange Double Exposure. Max Caulfield is back, coming October 29th, 2024.
Chaos Theory.
Yeah. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is coming November 19th, 2024. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle got a cinematic/gameplay trailer, showed a big extended cutscene, looks good. Still no official release date on that. What are we doing? Wushang, Fallen Feathers, coming to Game Pass day 1.
Cinematic trailer.
We don't have a date for this, but it is supposed to come next year. Avowed gave us an official trailer. Good trailer, coming in 2024. No hard date, but it did come out later, but then that got deleted, so I don't know how accurate that is.
I think it got confirmed again.
Did it?
I think so. I saw something
you saw what I saw, where it was like, hey, I posted this date, and then it got from Wario64, where he's like, I posted this date, now they've deleted that. It's supposed to be, I want to say November 12th.
Yeah, and I believe it still is that, because they did have extra gameplay shown.
Oh, really?
Before we came on here.
But it's very strange that they didn't put that in the showcase. I'm almost curious if Xbox is holding dates for Indiana Jones and Avowed to try and see how crowded the rest of 2024 is, because they want these games to do big numbers. And so they want to have the space to breathe. If I were Microsoft, personally, I would say, with Indiana Jones at least, I would say, fuck you, no, you move.
Yes.
Not us. That would be my take. Avowed, sure, yeah, put that in March or something of next year. That I think that is fine. But Indiana Jones, people are going to show up for Indiana Jones. I would say, fuck you, you move.
Yeah, I agree.
Get out the way, Metaphor Refantasio.
That'll be good, though.
That game looked great. That was shown at SGF. It wasn't put on the thing, but it looked great. Oh, I think it was because it was more of an ad. It didn't give us like a...
Yeah, it was literally just like developer coming out and saying, like, jobs, classes.
It looked great.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that game. Put me down. I'm officially excited for that game.
It's having no dating.
Really?
Yeah.
Not even like a
nope.
love interest at the end of at the end of the game?
It seems like you have like relations with characters, but not romantic things. I know. I wish they had that.
That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it is.
I want to fuck.
Yeah. This is in high school. You can just do that free as you.
I'm saying.
So I think.
Why does
yeah.
Persona get
Yeah,
to
it's
have
probably-
romances?
Yeah.
You fucking Persona. They like wink and nod at it, but they fucking.
Yeah. Cloud and Tifa fuck at the end of near the end of Final Fantasy VII, as we all know.
At the original game.
In the original.
Oh yeah, they were fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on. That landscape was too beautiful not to fuck in. Are you kidding me? Mountainside, girl, we may die the next day. Sunset, beautiful ocean. We are
Taking all the boxes.
we're giving our hearts to each other in this moment. They fucked. They fucked. Adam Fall. Channels Fallout in first trailer. This is this. Oh, it's the Sniper Elite team. Rebellion. That's what they do. Yeah. Okay. I'm more interested in that game now that I know what studio that's
I
from.
believe they also made Alien versus Predator.
I think you're right.
I'm pretty
you're
confident I am.
2025. Assassin's Creed Shadows showed some gameplay, but we're going to talk about that in the Ubisoft segment. We got to get moving. Fuck. We debated too much about Xbox. Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. This is your final joint for Xbox here today. You know what? Did we get a date?
We did.
We already have that date, or is that
No, we
new?
did not. It was
okay.
up
September
in the
5th.
air.
September 5th, 2024. That's right, because I wasn't sure if it was coming. That's why I counterpicked it in fantasy. But yeah, take it away. How did you feel about Stalker 2?
You know, it looked like it's being an updated version of older Stalker games. You know, I can't remember when the last Stalker game came out, but it definitely resembles more like a PS3 graphics at most, but the substance is there. And it seems like that's only going to be further improved upon here, particularly in regards to gunplay. It seems more, not survival focused, but a little bit more rough. And you're going through the zone. Do you know what the zone is?
I don't care.
Crazy shit happens.
Yeah, listen, all these Ukrainian games look the fucking same to me. Whether you're Metro, whether you're Stalker, whether you're XYZ game, you all look the same.
Yes. Which, I mean, like, your point earlier, there was a
But
cool-
speaking as a Metro fan.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Metro.
You don't hate on it.
No, I'm not hating. I'm just saying you all look the same.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely have a type of aesthetic going on.
Yeah.
A type of gameplay style they like to dive into.
And let's be honest, I mean, like, I like Metro, but Metro's not the best game franchise in the world.
No.
You know, and this looks to be about that level of quality.
And I think
Pretty, though.
a lot of what I have to say about this is more like what they could have done maybe to show, get more eyes on it from people who don't know what Stalker is like. You know, it shows pretty generic human enemies that you fight, dogs, and gives you teases at some of the cooler, crazier enemies like the fucking psychic. I'm assuming he's a psychic
Really?
guy.
I think this trailer does exactly what it needs to do.
Yeah, it does. It does for overall for the most part. This sequence here is cool. You mentioned it seemed like it was button mashing moment.
This is clearly a press F to survive moment, the quick time event styled.
Not necessarily, because you brought up Metro, right? In Exodus, there's a fight scene that occurs in first person, no button mashing, and it's just like that kind of fun. That seems more intense, but it's like a fun, you know, classic movie combat scenario of.
Are you just talking like a cutscene just played out in first person? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like what that's doing. So
okay.
It seems
But that looks so like Call of Duty, like mash F to survive or mash X to survive.
It looks like what they did in Exodus, but it doesn't have button mashing, which I think from a presentation standpoint is.
I mean, I think the difference between what you're saying and what I'm saying is a button prompt on screen.
Which I think we've moved past that for a reason. It's annoying to do.
I don't think these guys have.
I think they
I mean,
have.
Spider-Man does that.
Yeah. Not exactly one of the high points of the game. So I'm so hopeful for this game. Oh, not to mention it's made by the people over in Ukraine who are dealing with shit.
Yeah, salute to them, man.
Yeah.
They had to fight a war while making this game, and you know their coworkers and friends are dying around them as they're doing it. So salute to them for the fact it looks as good as it looks is impressive. What's poppin', players? Wanted to add this quick disclaimer, this little quick insert into the podcast here. Me and Connor messed up. We moved on after talking about Stalker 2, but the showcase had two other things left to show, and that was the discless, all-digital versions of the Xbox Series X and S, which I think look great. Always want to sell those out. Those are coming this holiday season. And, of course, the announcement of Gears of War E-Day came with a nice cinematic trailer. We liked it. We're interested to see what they're going to do with that title. But, yeah, I read the article wrong, and yeah, we just moved on by mistake, so sorry about that. But yeah, we're interested. We're up on both of those titles as a whole, and so forth. So yeah, we just wanted to come in here, give that quick disclaimer. Enjoy the rest of the show. Connor, moving on. Let's get through this. Not quickly, but let's get through this. Ubisoft Forward. I watched it. You didn't. You just watched the 2 big gameplay demos that were premiered here. I'll just say this was the worst showcase of the entire weekend. They came advertising, hey, we're going to show off Star Wars Outlaws. We're going to show off Assassin's Creed Shadows. And that is what they did. But in between those two things was 40 minutes of Ubisoft ads for every Ubisoft property you can think of, including For Honor showed up, Connor.
Classic Ubisoft.
Yeah, and it's just like, oof, could not care less about what's going on here. It was boring. It was badly presented, and it was overblown. I don't think they needed to do this. They could have premiered both of these demos at SGF, and I think it would have been more impactful, and I think it would have made SGF better. But instead, they decided to give themselves the big meat, and it led to both showcases lacking more than they should have. I think SGF was better than this.
It definitely was. This seems like a lot of good selling points as a Star Wars game, not really selling points for a game. Seems like this showcase seemed like it was really like, hey, you like Star Wars, right? Here are these things from Star Wars.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Jumping into Star Wars Outlaws. When they premiered gameplay last year, I wasn't sold. And I'm watching this, and I'm still not sold. Mm-hmm. I don't think it looks bad by any means. It just kind of looks kind of plain, and it doesn't look very impactful. Of course, I could put my hands on sticks and totally be wrong about that. It's clear that a lot of money is going into this title. It looks very high budget, but I'm not seeing... I'm not even really seeing Game of the Year contender out of this. You know, I'm seeing this was a fine Star Wars game. This was all right. But nothing to write home about. There are specific systems and things in this demo that I'm interested in seeing. I think the style of the game is nice. I like the choice to be a bounty hunter rogue type as opposed to being a Jedi or whatever. I think this is fun. This is an element of Star Wars that doesn't get explored enough. But it's not like it hasn't been explored before. But yeah, I'm as a Star Wars. Really, if it wasn't Star Wars, I don't think I would care.
No, probably not.
So.
I don't think people would be talking about it as much if it wasn't Star Wars either. I think everyone's hinging on that fact.
From what I'm reading online and seeing online, we are the minority opinion here, Connor. Everybody seems kind of juiced for this game, especially from the demo that we saw today. I saw this demo and I was like, yeah, all right.
I mean, in this year where we're just having tons of studios close, games not selling well, or even if they do sell, bad things happening afterwards. If a lot of people are looking at this game as a thing to pay attention to, great.
I can't shake the feeling. This was an expectation I put on myself, and it's not fair because that's not what they were trying to do. It's not what the creators were trying to do. They were trying to make open world Uncharted with a Star Wars skin, and that's what they went and made. And it looks like a good one of those. I wanted this is massive. They are the Division people. I wanted Division, but Star Wars. And I'm not getting that. And I've got to get past that. But I can't help but think Division, but Star Wars would be so much more interesting than what we're getting here.
It pops way more, just from an elevator pitch standpoint, as opposed to this.
Yeah. You're going to tell me Division, but Star Wars wouldn't work as a game service game? That would work. It would work.
This game, it highlights, hey, you can go to different worlds and in the Star Wars planets. That seems way more interesting if you're doing it in like a multiplayer-like setting.
Hey man, I'm gonna go do the raid. I'm gonna go do the raid on Tatooine. You wanna come? Oh yeah, man, let's do it.
Last other thing, going from your ship onto the planet is cool. It's well done.
It is cool.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it has features.
They're doing the hiding loading screens and clouds and stuff right there, but it still looks cool. It's I can't lie. We flew into Tatooine and I had a smile on my face.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, cool. Again, they're doing cool things in here. I do think this is going to be a good game. I just don't think it's going to blow our minds. And I don't know. I think the Respawn's Jedi games are even from presentation wise, we're head and shoulders above what we're seeing here. It just doesn't look very impactful. Space combat looks boring.
Yeah, it does. So. It's hard to do.
I could be wrong. We could get there and love it, Yeah,
you sound like a real Star Wars hater. That's my job.
Moving on. Assassin's Creed Shadow. This is a great demo. This is a really good demo. Does this look like the greatest game in the world? No. But does it look fun as hell? Abso-fucking-lutely it does. From the Assassin's Creed Odyssey team, that is both of our favorite Assassin's Creeds. I'm the Assassin's Creed fan on this podcast.
You've played more than one.
I've played most of them.
Yes.
And, my relationship with Assassin's Creed wavers at points, depending on where we are in the franchise. Some of them I love. Some of them I really don't care for. I don't think it's a bad franchise by any means. I just think there are some games that are more boring than others. This one looks to be a banger. A lot of cool systems that they're implementing in this one. Specifically, day and night cycles are nothing new to video games and to open world video games. But seasonal cycles, that is kind of new.
With changes to gameplay, making stealth easier. I'm assuming harder sometimes.
Depending on what season you're in. Yeah, spring, it's easier to hide in the blossom trees as opposed to fall where there are no blossoms or something like that. But, snow and summer and all these things. That's kind of cool. I'm interested to see that. I love the world design. I love that when you're playing as Yasuke, the civilians respect you and get out of your way and bow and show you respect. I love that when you're playing as Naoke?
Naoko?
Naoko?
I can't remember
the shinobi character. I love that, you're just kind of like you're being dirty and doing crazy things. I love being able to switch between the two. I love that they're both so clearly different gameplay styles between the two. I'm sure you're gonna have to bounce between the two, but I love that they still also give you the choice to play who you want to play as for the majority of the game. Color me very excited for Assassin's Creed Shadows.
I was watching, Naoto, whatever her name was.
Okay, no, it had a K in it.
I know, Jesus. Her gameplay looked fun. Stealth mechanics aren't really my thing, but the changing seasons, really cool feature to amplify your stealth mechanics. Making her, of course, more of a plushie. You can't take damage all that well, so you can fight, but it recommends kind of getting out of there as quick as possible.
Get the job done. And then get out. I loved the stealth mechanics that they showed off.
Yeah.
The knocking things over to distract guards, the quickness of the assassinating different enemies and so forth. This looks like it's going to bridge the gap between the two fandoms of Assassin's Creed, the new guys and the old guys, where undeniably Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, not the greatest stealth games in the world. I would say they're better than the internet would have you believe, but not the greatest. And this one looks like, oh, hey, we are giving you great stealth gameplay alongside that fantastic tanky RPG combat that Odyssey and the others are known for.
Best of both worlds, but that was really just the lead up to Yasuke looks sick. He was doing moves with the I can't remember the giant club.
Yeah,
and you know what it looks like?
Brutal, dude. Bro, when he fucking like crushed the dude's spine and the gook and then fell dead. Oh, it was visceral. It was good.
You know what it looked like? And it looked like, heavy emphasis on that, like a certain character in the game For Honor. The Shugoki, who uses that exact same weapon, the animations, no joke, were like the exact same. And it's Ubisoft. They made that game. This isn't a rag on it. That game has some great feeling melee combat.
Yeah.
And with the diversity of Yasuke's weapons, that's going to be the part I'm going to be sinking my teeth into the most. When it gives you the option of choosing who you're playing as, because obviously it will make you play as both of them. But it mentioned how they'll eventually conjoin their stories, and that's when it'll be like, oh, you choose her or him.
Even then, I'm sure there's this is a Yasuke mission. This is a what's-her-face mission.
Every chance I get, I know who I'm going with, and I know who you're going with. Well, maybe, no, you actually...
I might bounce between the two.
Yeah, you have way more of a chance of being diverse with that.
I might bounce between the two. It just depends on how I'm feeling in the moment. But, I'm sure the majority of my playtime will be the shinobi. And I have no doubt almost entirely, if you can, you're going to be playing as the samurai. But, I'm excited. I'm ready. This is one that I think is going to be maybe even in the argument for the best Assassin's Creed.
It might be.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for your two. What?
There was more Ubisoft. We're not talking about what was it Ubisoft?
Man. I don't know, man. Prince of Persia showed up, and the DLC looked cool. Hey, play Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. If you haven't played Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, you should play Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Play Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake was re-revealed coming in 2026. Yeah, we'll see. That felt like to me, we are done spending money on this. So this game is coming in 2026, and you either like it or hate it. Prince of Persia: The Rogue Prince had a cool trailer, neat. X Defiant had some stuff. For Honor had some stuff.
For Honor, baby!
God, I wish I could be you and still living in 2017.
15.
17. I looked it up.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Fake fan. Sorry.
Fake fan. Until next time, have a great time. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment how you felt about the things down below, and let us know what Xbox can do for its own survival. Until next time, have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.